Welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk? I'm your host, Anthony Ray, and this is episode 29, and I have been off for a long time. Feels kind of different, man. I haven't done an episode in almost a month. Well, you guys haven't heard an episode that I've done in a month because I did do one maybe around October 20, maybe like October 15th or something. And I lost the episode. So for all of my subscribers, all of my followers out there, man, I know it seems like it's been a long time, but I actually lost the last episode that I did because the recording didn't save. And yeah, it hurt me, man. So it was a good one too. So that was with my man Travell Davis. So man, I lost the whole entire episode, and we had some good stuff in there too, man. But without further ado, man, today I'm with my man Andre Barnes. He is way up in Virginia. So man, he's coming to Dad Can We Talk? I couldn't wait to actually sit and talk with this man. You know, I'm interested to learn about him. I think it was your brother-in-law, Terrell.
Yeah.
He told me about you, and I went to looking into your Super Dad page.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I kind of like this guy right here, man. So I'm definitely interested in learning learning more about you today, man. So welcome to the show, Andre Barnes.
Well, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you bringing me on because I'm really new to this space and I'm trying to like jump out here. So any kind of love and exposure that I can get to like helping like other men out there, it's just icing on the cake, man. Because when you start, it's like nobody knows you. You're reaching out to people that you know, and you're trying to like kind of put your heart into something, but you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. So you know, having like this exposure that you have is just a blessing to me because I get to share my message, and I appreciate being on the show.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So what I like to do, man, my first question I always ask on Dad Can We Talk is, what was your relationship like with your dad? I want you to talk about that.
Okay, man, my relationship with my father was amazing. My father was in the household. He was a Marine. He was in the Army for 3 years and in the Marines for 17. And, you know, there was, you know, times where he was out of the household for maybe like 6 months to a year. But I've been so blessed because he's been a very positive force in my life. And a lot of the things that he's done, I've kind of modeled my parenting off. But I've also been able to like, you know, kind of evaluate myself and say, well, my dad's like this. I'm like this personality wise. I can't be there, but I can be me and be the best that I can at being me. My dad's like a tough, old school guy, pull yourself up by the bootstraps type of guy. And I love him for that because that's kind of what has been driving me my entire life. So, you know, in this like dad talk sphere, I really feel like it's my responsibility to kind of get out and open discussions with men because like to whom much is given, much is expected. And I've been so blessed to have my father in my life. Anything that I can pour out to other men that either didn't have a good relationship with the father, don't know their father, I want to make sure that the discussion is out there and we're here to support all of them, you know? So that's been my relationship with him.
That's good, man. And I always like to talk with people that did have that relationship with their dad because I think that's something that we don't hear much about in the Black community. You know, I'm one of the ones that didn't grow up with my dad, so I'm on that side, but I always love having conversations with other Black men that did have their dad in their life so that people can, you know, be able to hear it from those people and see that, you know, there are good dads out there, you know, and like even in our generation and in the past generation, you know, there were dads that were there in the homes, and I always like to talk with those sons. But what you were saying about your dad, about how he raised you, do you think that has affected the way that you now father your own children?
Absolutely. And you know, there's things that he's instilled in me that I try to instill in my children as
Yeah.
well, but it doesn't always work because personality wise, I might not be as like tough as him or gone through the same lifestyle
Yeah.
that he went through that made
Yeah.
him that tough. But there are basic principles that he's taught me that I'm just like, if you get out of line, there discipline has to be involved.
Yeah.
And in some households, they don't believe in discipline or like spanking your children. People have different
Yeah.
levels and beliefs on how to do it. And I just feel like with my father, like he always even when we got a spank, he always talked to us afterwards, and it was just like, I really didn't want to have to do this. And when I got older, I didn't need to get spanked. Having
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
conversation with him and having me feel like he was disappointed in me because I didn't adhere to something that he, expected me to do was enough to push me in the right direction.
Yeah.
But when you have siblings, people respond differently to
Yeah.
parenting. Because
Yeah.
I have a brother and he's been like a rolling stone. Like,
Yeah.
he lived with my parents for a long time, even into his 30s. And we came up in the same household with the same opportunities. You know, I hadn't there hadn't been a situation where he's been by himself with my parents for a long period of time and like something weird happened just to
Yeah.
him. I we were all together all the time. I would have known that something was going on, but that didn't exist in our household. So you know just because you have like a parent in the household, and this is something that like some of these dads need to understand, is that your kids have the ultimate decision on how they're going to run their life.
Yeah.
You can
Straight
do your
up.
best and give your all, and then they still go off to the wayside.
That's real. And I think it's hard, I mean, I only have my 7 year old is my oldest. So I wouldn't know like how it is, but I can only imagine, as my children get older, I can only imagine like how hard it is to see them going off the rails.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, like you said, we can be the best father. You can have the mother there, have the best father and mother there. But at the end of the day, that child still has to make their own decisions. And I can only imagine how hard it is to see that
yeah,
and just wanting the best for your children. So I know that's a hard thing, man.
yeah. So my son is 6,
Yeah,
and my daughter is 4, and I've been able to already see a stark difference in their personalities, because
yeah,
with my son, all I have to do is really talk to him. I don't have to really. He still gets disciplined, but like I don't have to discipline him as much. Now
yeah,
my daughter, she has more of a strong will, so
yeah,
like she just requires more discipline, and just like talking to her, it's just not gonna work at this stage.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like what I've learned about like parenting is this: if you raise them in like a environment that's like dedicated to God, if
yeah,
they get out of your household and things are going bad, then you can go to God and request, hey God, I raised them the way you wanted me to. I need you to intervene here.
yeah.
And that's all you can do as a parent. But if you give them over to God, then he's not going to let them just completely destroy themselves. And I
That's real.
think that's the same thing with my brother, because he's gone through his stuff, but like he it seems like he has like 9 lives, because
Yeah,
like he always has some favor, he always gets some
yeah,
help some way. So
yeah. That's real, man. So, if there was any, what would you say are some of the most important lessons you've learned up until this point? So, what you say, your oldest is 6. In
yeah,
these 6 years, what has been the one of the like the most important lessons you've learned as a father up until this point?
right. I've learned that the relationship with my wife is like the and most important relationship in the household,
Yeah,
because if our relationship is all messed up, they don't have a chance. They
yeah,
don't have a chance. And like I had to kind of get to a point where I had to get to an understanding with my wife, because when you get married, it's like two different tribes are coming together.
Yes,
So
sir.
there are things that you have to learn, and you have to pick your battles. And what really happened to us is that we got married in our late 20s, and once we hit our 30s, a lot of our friends were in the area, so we still kind of like hang out. But as we started to like hang out, you know, um, you know, things started to get a little bit more difficult. Things started to get more real, and it was our church that just like 5 years ago, that really like someone reached out to us with a flyer, and we got our family in the church, and that was the only reason we're really still here together today. So
Yeah.
some people need that counseling. Some people need to have someone kind of like pour the word over them, and it really has done wonders for my family.
Yeah, man, that's so good, man, because we were gonna definitely go there with marriage, but I want to go there
Yeah.
now, man, because I like what you say. Um, I've been married for 8 years now,
Oh, wow.
and we've been together for 11 years.
Yep.
So from from the time we got married, we just were always in, I gave my life to the Lord in
Yep.
2011. We got married 2012. So
Yep.
it was like, okay, boom, this is what we're gonna do. And I can honestly say, without that relationship, without both of us having a relationship with God and also having godly friends
Yep.
that hold us both accountable. Like I have men in my life and she has women in her life. Without that, bro, I promise we probably wouldn't have made it a year, bro.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
literally, and I'm not even lying, bro. Like maybe 2013, we would have been done for a minute.
Yeah. Yes. And it doesn't take much time.
Yeah,
All it takes is like a little bit of strife to get in there, a little
yeah,
bit of anger, and then that's it.
it's it.
But you're right. Having that accountability from other people that are in the Word
Yeah,
is important. And I like what you said about your church, because a lot of churches, they don't really attract men.
yeah,
Like men will go there, and sometimes it's for like nefarious reasons to kind of meet women, or whatever. They're not
yeah,
really getting like washed with the Word.
yeah,
But my particular church, it attracted a lot of men, and it was a new dynamic for me, because I came from a church, in like a Southern Baptist church that was run by women. So
yeah,
seeing this like male leadership was all new, and something that they like really pushed was that the men need to be the head of the household,
yeah.
and that relationship between the husband and wife was so important. So that
Hmm.
really was what really got us on track, man. And you're right, accountability is everything.
That's real, man. That's real. And see, and another thing too, even with the accountability that I had, I even had guys from other churches, just guys that I knew. I would always just meet people. And
Yeah,
when I found out they were married, I'm like, hey man, let's try to get our wives together. Cause my wife,
yeah,
I'm just super outgoing. I'm
yeah,
always my wife isn't so much like that. So when I would
yeah,
meet a guy, I'm like, hey man, I want your wife to meet my wife, just trying to get my wife around
yeah,
other women. And man,
yeah,
I'm talking about I had it coming from all ways, guys that I know that are outside of the city,
yeah,
right here in the city and other churches, just because like I say, I can't speak to the importance of that enough, of how important it is, like you said, man, to have other men. If you
yeah.
don't have that, bro, I don't see how people do it, bro. Honestly,
Exactly,
I
exactly,
couldn't imagine. But
exactly. And that's something like a lot of black men, they don't have that positive relationship with other men,
yeah,
because like the other men in their lives, they might be like Rolling Stones, they might be
yeah,
like out in the world, like
yeah,
partying, and if you have that influence
yeah,
around you, all it can do is like eventually take you down, because you
yeah,
are who you associate yourself with.
exactly. That's real, man. That's real. So, now when it comes to marriage, how long have you and your wife been married? You say
It's gonna be 10 years
10 years.
in
Okay.
September of 2021. So I'm planning
Ooh,
to try to do it big this year.
yeah.
So it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
But next year is going to be 10. So I'm trying to
Okay.
plan something nice. We're about to have our third child in
Okay.
February. So
Yeah.
you know, like it's going to be hard. 'Cause what I would like to do is like kind of take her out of the country
Yeah.
and go somewhere, but it's going to be hard with like an infant. But I'm trying to do something very
Yeah.
very nice for our 10.
Yeah, man, that is what's up, bro. So you guys know the gender yet?
But yes, it's a girl.
A
And
girl.
what's
Okay.
funny is that my daughter actually named the new baby that's coming. So
Okay.
her favorite television show is Max and Ruby. So
Yeah.
she was like, the baby's name, since she's a girl, is going to be Ruby.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, she's been learning about Mary, Jesus' mother. So she was
Yeah.
like, it's going to be Ruby Mary. So
Yeah.
after she made that first announcement, she started campaigning. Like she's like, anytime someone started to come up with the different names, she's like, no, her name is gonna be Ruby Mary. And,
Yeah.
and then it just stuck. And then my wife was in like a prayer session where you know the person that was leading the prayer session was praying over the children,
Yeah.
and she said that person said to name the children, name your child, and my wife went with Ruby, so like, she's been Ruby ever since. So it's
Yeah.
official.
That's what's up, man. That's actually my great grandmother's name. She just passed
Wow.
last weekend, man.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, she lived a long life, man. 97 years old.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that name is definitely a go.
Yeah.
Ruby. Yes, sir, man. So as far as like marriage, man, like if there was anybody, say a young man out there listening right now and he's thinking about marriage, what would be one of those let me see, what would be one of your, just give that man just one piece of advice, just one.
Okay. Well, if you're going to get married, it has to be on a church foundation. It,
Yeah.
it can't be it can't be anything else
Yeah.
because you're not going to know enough without understanding what marriage really is.
Yeah. That's real. Man, I just seen something last night. So someone asked a question on Facebook. They were like, should you live together before marriage?
Okay.
And so everyone on the post was just like, of course. Like, yes, like how can you get married to someone and you've never lived with them? I mean, people were going off, I'm just like, So,
Hmm.
I put in my little 2 cents and I'm like,
Okay.
well, uh, my wife and I, we didn't live together
Woo. Okay.
before marriage. So, because we were actually in a long distance relationship, thank God,
Oh,
I thank God for that, because
yes. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So, when I went and found us a place, I was still living with my mom.
Uh huh.
So I went and found us an apartment. I got the apartment. Then she moved here. We got married.
Wow.
So, and I always think, if you look at the statistics of it, the statistics says, I think if a couple lives together before marriage, they are 3 times, I think they said they are 30% more likely to get divorced
Right.
than people who didn't. And when
Right.
you look at the current divorce rate, which is around 50 to 51 already, so I'm like, that's like an 80% chance, and I'm like, man, I mean, the numbers are that high for that.
Yep.
And I mean, I think I can understand it,
Hmm.
just from my situation. I can understand why it would probably be like that. But I want your input on that. Like,
Okay.
what's your take on that?
Okay. Well, I can tell you that my wife and I did not
Yeah,
um, we did live together. So
yeah,
so basically, this is my take on it. So
yeah,
there's the ideal, and
yeah,
then there's your ordeal.
yeah,
We're not supposed to look like the world,
yeah.
but like sometimes things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you repent and you change. But
Yeah,
the ideal is your situation where you didn't um,
yeah,
go before. And then, you know, the statistics that you're bringing up just proves that people shouldn't do it. Because like when you're going into that situation and you guys are living together, you're not bringing any skin in the game, you know? You're going in and you're just like, well, if this doesn't work, I can move out. I can change my zip code. I can go back to mommy and daddy. But if you go down the aisle together, you can't go back to mommy and daddy, because it says, the word says you leave your mommy and your mother and your father and you cleave to your husband.
That's real.
So, you know, like the ideal should have been, you know, not living together, but our ordeal and, you know, not really knowing at that time the spiritual aspect of that, you know, we didn't adhere to the ideal.
Yeah. And the reason I say I think I could understand at times when people, because, you know, now that I have been living with my wife, of course you see things after you move in with each other and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't expect that, you know, and it kind of hits you off, catches you off guard. And I think a lot of people, I forgot the stat for this, but it was like, it says something about the percentage of people that end up not even getting married when they move in, because it's like once you see certain things, you're like, I think I don't want to get into that much, you know, and they back out. But like once you get married, you know, once we moved in, it was like, hey, shoot, I mean, I gotta take her as she is, you know. I mean, of course, there's things that I didn't like about her, and the same things that she's seeing about me, and she's like, okay. I didn't know that, but you know, I think you learn to you learn to deal with certain things, and you learn to talk about it and you speak your mind and say, you know, hey, I really don't like this, or I would like if you could change this. And you just you learn each other, and you kind of got to just grow with each other. It's definitely a hard thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and like I think having that church foundation, they can help you talk through that with some more seasoned vets that have been married for a while. One thing that my church does is that we have like a couples meeting. And I want to kind of go back to what you were saying about the numbers. Because now people are devaluing marriage. And not, like you said, not even getting married. And that's because they're putting themselves in a marriage situation, but they're not married.
They're not making the commitment. That's real.
Yeah. So like they're, you know, and this is what happens when you devalue marriage. Then, you know, your family gets all messed up because dad's not in the home, and dad has a lot to do with the development of the children. And the daughters, they watch how the father treat the mother. So it has an effect on everyone. So like this devaluation of marriage is what's leading to this, you know, this high divorce rate, these you know, these high trips to poverty. A lot of people are just like, you know, like a lot of it has to do with institutionalized racism, but like we have to look at our families too, because there's a spiritual aspect to both sides of that institutionalized racism. And there's on one side is the hate, and then on the other side are the barriers, but in the middle there's that internalization of that hate, and not and accepting it, and not being able to see past and expand your mind to be able to do greater things.
That's real, man. That's so real. I love that you just went there, because, man, I wanted to ask you about this. I kind of wanted to go here. I see that you studied African-American studies, right?
Yes.
So I got some questions about that, man. I love that type of stuff, man. I love it, bro. But so is there anything that you learned, because you went to the University of Virginia, right?
Yeah.
So in your studies, did you learn anything about in African-American studies that you didn't necessarily learn from like the public school system or school, you know, school before college? Can you talk about anything that there was like, it kind of shocked you, like, man, I didn't know this?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of battles. There's a lot of information about how black men in Africa were kings of running multiple tribes and making all these inventions and having like innovations in medicine, and then all those things were stolen, and
Yeah.
then it was buried in
Hmm.
history for a while. So I was actually talking with one of my friends that I went to school with, and he's like deep into African American studies. And whenever
Yeah.
you like study something and then you come back, you kind of you kind of lose a little bit. But you know, like we were talking about this issue with families, and like he sent me an article about how an issue with homelessness is not necessarily, you know, the families being broke down, but like also the institutionalized racism.
Yeah.
So he mentioned a situation where there were these speakers, and they were talking about how, you know, black men have privilege,
Yeah.
and there were two like homeless guys in the back that they didn't even see, you know, and you know, I he was like, it's inappropriate that he's talking about privilege and you have these guys that are like homeless in the back, you know, that wasn't really appropriate. And then what I kind of took it a step further. I was just like, you know, when you're having success in the system, and the system that we're in is like capitalism, and you have like a Eurocentric view of the world and
Yeah.
history. And then you know, what I got from African American studies is that you look through an Afrocentric, the center with Africa being its center and not Europe, and it's
Hmm.
a whole different view. It gives you a whole different view of the world and economics and politics. But at the same time, you know, like you're just like, when you kind of get out there and you're just like, well, where does the institutionalized racism, you know, end, and when do we start to mend to where we can overcome it all and
Yeah.
start to solve these problems of homelessness? And it's just so big. But
Yeah.
if you don't have that view, and you're looking through Eurocentric glasses, then you're
Yeah.
not even going to notice the issues that are on the African side, the African American studies viewpoint. You won't
Yeah.
even be able to see that.
That's real, man. Maybe for the last 2 years, I've been doing, you know, and I've been studying the Bible from a Hebraic,
Yeah,
you know, from a Hebrew standpoint.
that's good.
And what I realized, man, it changed everything for me, because I started realizing, you know, that, you know, when you look at this thing, I think what happens even in the church, people look at the Bible
Yeah,
and issues in the Bible from a European standpoint.
yeah.
And we can't look at that, because I think I ran up upon a book called, oh, what's it called? It was called um how 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 the gospel reached Europe or something like
Uh
that.
huh. Okay.
I cannot remember. And it had a lot of studies about these African teachers and philosophers
Yep.
and all of this. And I was like, dang, I never heard of this, right? You know, and I started just digging deep, man, digging. And, you know,
Right.
once I started really realizing that even all of the writers of the books of the Bible these were Hebrew men. You know,
Yep.
these were men that were of color. You know,
Yep.
they were like us. And
Yep.
once I got there, my mind just, I was like, oh my God, bro,
Right.
I missed
And
this.
I'm gonna even take you a little bit further because
Yeah,
my so the current pastor of my church, he is my pastor, and we all love him.
yeah,
His father passed away like I want to say like a year ago,
yeah,
and you know, he was like a master teacher.
yeah,
So like when you're looking at that word, we have to understand that we're also connected to the Hebrew people
yeah,
spiritually.
exactly.
Spiritually.
Yes, sir.
So like you know, with all this institutionalized racism, they put everybody in a box.
Yeah.
But you know, like what my pastor says, and this is our new pastor. He said, you know, when you're checking that box of what you are, you know,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to put black or that you're a Democrat. You should like write in that you're chosen.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
right. Yeah.
that you are the seed of Abraham,
Yeah. Okay.
and like you know,
Yeah.
that kind of transcends this color, you know,
Yeah. That's real.
that people have like tried to downtrod, you
That's
know. And you know, even the fact that we're male, it spiritually, that connection trumps everything.
That's real, man. That is so real, bro. And this is that, and that's just where I really been like this
Yeah,
year. I've been on that like
yeah,
really, really, really hard. And it's just it helps me now. I can see the world from a different lens and say, you know,
yeah,
I like a lot of the stuff I understand. I understand why black people are usually behind on
yeah,
everything when it comes to education, when
yeah,
it comes to income, when it comes to, you know, even black women and marriage, you know, why they're always the last to be married. You know, when it comes to crime, just
yeah,
all across the board. And I'm like, man, you know, we are literally living in a time where I believe God is about to begin to reveal, you know, these things to us and really
yeah,
help us to see who we truly are and why we're in the condition that we're in. Because
yeah.
it's to me now, I'm like, I can't unsee it.
Right.
I
And
can't
the
unsee it.
reason that we're in the condition that we're in is, you know, we are in this world, and you know, once we gave um, the world over to Satan, once Adam made that decision,
Yeah,
then Satan became a temporary like god of this world.
it's
But
real.
what Jesus did, he redeemed us. And now that we're heirs to him, we have to remember where we're seated. We're seated in heavenly places. So
It's
this
real.
condition that we're in, we shouldn't accept that condition.
That's real.
We shouldn't accept it at all.
That's real, man. That's real. Man, we will end up going on this all day. We're gonna
Yep,
stop there because man, I
yep,
promise, man, we would go on that all day.
yep. Mm-hmm.
That's where I am, man. Like
Yeah,
I love that.
good man.
That right there, man. So for the
See, that's
listeners out
why
there, yeah.
and I'm gonna be quick. That's why. So I got saved in 2001 in
Yeah,
a Southern Baptist church, and I know they did the best they could to teach me,
yeah,
you know, and but it was only when I got to my current church
yeah,
that I got some like really good teaching, and I
yeah.
started to really understand who I was.
Hmm.
And once I got that teaching, I got really excited. And one of my this guy that I met on like the shuttle, because we take a shuttle from my apartment to like the metro, and we get on the train and we all go our separate
Please not
ways.
come in here. Go
But
ask mommy. I'm
he was
on
like,
the
"Man,
phone.
it seems like you just got saved yesterday," and I was like, "It might as well been yesterday because I, you know, I may have been like spiritually transformed on the inside, but
Mhm.
having like the insight to know how to use the word, how to
Yes,
use
sir.
that transformation, excited me more than anything else."
That's real, man. That's so real, man. For all of my listeners out there, man, if y'all are hearing this, please, 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 man, go do some studying, man. You know, really understand because in 2020, going into 2021, you know, it's very important for us to understand these things and what's really going on around us, man, because there are about to be some times that are going to come. And as fathers, we must be preparing our families
Yeah.
for what's coming. Um, and I want to get on that, man. What do you, how do you believe that this election, you know, with Joe Biden now becoming the next president, you know, what do you expect to, how do you expect this to affect the black community?
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to know how it's going to affect our community until December 14th,
Yeah,
because there's some. I know he's been declared, but there are a lot of like lawsuits that are still going on,
yeah,
and legally the delegates don't choose the president until December 14th. and then the final thing is the inauguration.
Yeah.
So there's still time that that you know, because if you can just go back to Bush, Al Gore, that it was overturned, that the state of Florida was overturned. So like, it's going to be interesting. Now, I have some concerns about the president-elect and Kamala Harris because
that's real.
you know, like prior to that, I guess that acceptance speech last night, like Joe Biden had been very doom and gloom. You know, he wasn't trying to connect anybody together. You know, it was all political. And yesterday he it sounded like he had like the best Obama speechwriter, because there are people in Australia saying, "Man, this is the best speech to bring people together ever."
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, I don't know what I'm getting, you know, because what I've seen in the previous month is not what I've been getting. And the same thing with Kamala Harris. Like, she, you know, has a long-standing reputation of like locking up black people in California. Like, I love her story. You know, I love her story, but you know, we have to hold people accountable.
That's real.
For what they've done in the past politically, because it's there for everybody to see. I am so happy that there is you know, like our first like vice presidential female of color, but like I think we need to be careful, because I don't think people really know who Kamala Harris is.
That's real, man. Me, honestly, there's this guy that I like to listen to. I listen to his podcast, a guy named Ruslan, and he always calls himself politically agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how I am. You know, it's like, I really don't believe, I always tell my wife, I really don't believe any of these folks, man. Honestly, you know, like I just can't put any trust in any of them, because I think I always believed, you know, that it's one bird and two wings.
Yeah.
And all of it is all bunched together in one, you know, and everyone, and for us, you know, for our viewership, you know, they're pitted against each other. But for some reason, I always feel like they're in cahoots with one another. You know, they know what they're doing, you know. And I honestly don't believe the president has the power that you know, most people think that they have. I'm like, nah.
No.
I don't know about
like
that.
The president doesn't have the power to change your everyday life.
Yeah.
But I think that what concerns me is the lack of diversity in our voting as a people.
Yeah.
Because they've all put the majority of black people in the Democratic bag. And you know, Biden even said, like, if you're not voting for me, you ain't black. You also have like another congresswoman from California saying that she's going to get back at all the black people that supported Trump. Like, there's going to be consequences for that. Also, AOC and in the Democratic Party said that as well. So it's just like, there's a lot of division, you know, and hatred amongst the two parties. But I think that people need to be wary that they need to vote along the issues, and not necessarily for a party, or necessarily because you dislike the candidate who's running, you know, because at the end of the day, I'm not a proponent for abortion, and that's something that the Democratic Party, you know, holds up. And there are other issues, and I'm just like, they don't line up with where I am now, you know, politically, in some senses of the game. So it's hard, man.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. I wanted to ask you about this. You know what? We're in 2020, so you know, just 100 years ago, I mean, there's plenty of Black Wall Streets. You know, most people only know about the Tulsa Black Wall Street, but there were some before then, you know. But a lot of what I always look at, how, you know, in those early 1900s, you know, how, you know, what was it, in North Carolina, how they had these Black Wall Streets all around Texas. They were all around New York, all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in the last, it's been a while. And I wanted to ask you, do you believe that we would ever get back to a place where as a people we would prosper in that way? Or do you believe that there's any place right now in the country where there are a certain group of people, like, you know, how they had Tulsa and then they had Durham?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that there's a city right now that is prospering in that way? Or do you believe that we will ever get back there?
I think there are pockets in very large cities where Black people are doing very well,
Yeah.
but this is my whole thing with it, and we've seen it with like the Black Wall Street. We've seen it with you know, the ideas of Malcolm X. It's like this separate is never equal.
Yeah.
And one thing in the United States Constitution is, you know, it's very wary of what it calls factions, like
Mhm.
individual groups that can get together and then try to overthrow the
Yeah.
government. So I think with all these, like, you know, Black Wall Streets, it will be hard for them to coexist without being part of the regular economy. And the reason is because it's going to be under the microscope and it could be treated as a faction. And there could be individual organizations without the proper protections. Now we have more protections. So like something like a Black Wall Street right now, during this time, it would be hard to replicate that. But in the back of your mind, you just have to be like, you know, if you're not a part of the system and you're trying to be separate, then that
Yeah.
can put you under scrutiny. And you just have to, you have to be careful with kind of those types of ideas.
Yeah. Because I always think, you know, we had our Malcolms, we had our Martins, we had our
Yep.
Bunchy Carters, you know, all the Panthers and all of that.
Yeah.
I think in this time, I don't believe that we can really have those right now.
Hmm.
I can't see it, you know. I can see that I believe that there are people that want to go to put their neck out there.
Yeah.
They can look back at the past and see what happened to all of our leaders in the past. You know, it's never been, you know, a strong Black man that stood up against the system and
Yeah.
kept his life. I mean, we don't see that. So
Yeah.
I think that deters a lot of people, because you see people who are kind of trying, you know,
Yeah.
like I don't know, maybe a Killer Mike,
Yeah.
I guess,
Hmm.
Roland Martin, I don't know.
Like, and even with like an Ice Cube, like he's going to the president with the platinum plan, but it's not. And then some people would even mention LeBron James. Like
Yeah.
he's going out there and trying to you know, speak for people. But here's my thing. I really think that right now, Black people as a community are too divided. Like they've pitted us against each other economically, male to female. Like if you look at like what's been happening politically, if you pay attention, they've been thanking a lot of Black females for what they've done politically.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're you know, kind of like bolstering up this LGBT community. And it's interesting. And even with Black Lives Matter, it's run by women.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, and that's fine, you know, but they're like, if you looked at like their platform in the very beginning, it's like they wanted to disrupt the nuclear family, which is the regular type of family.
That's real.
So it's just interesting. Like people are like putting, you know, getting excited and thinking that, you know, the next movement is here. But Jill Scott Heron said that the revolution will not be televised.
Yeah.
And you know, we live in a very social media world, but like we just have to measure, you know, these different movements by what we've seen in the past, and kind of see if they really line up with you know, our cultural beliefs.
That's real. That's real, man. And I want to go back to some fatherhood, because
Yep.
as we see, you know, where we are in this time right now, with everything that's going on, man, what are you teaching your children? You know, I know your oldest is 6. You know, you're almost like mine. Mine is 7. And, you know, and they have questions, a lot of questions.
Yep.
What are some things that maybe your children are asking you, and how are you handling these questions? Because they're growing up in a different world than what we grew up in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, man. And have you been getting, I want you to kind of talk about that, you know, some of the things that you've been teaching your children and the questions you've been getting.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with kind of going into a little bit of the history about myself. So once I started my new church, like 4 or 5 years ago, Agape Embassy Ministries, basically the first thing that our pastor, Pastor Joseph A. Mills Jr. said was that you have to be careful what you take into your ear gate and your eye gate. So like listening to like explicit lyrics on the radio all the time, you know, it can have a bad effect on what happens on the inside of you. And he gave a perfect example. If you're listening to music where, you know, you step on my shoes, I'll wet your chest. You know, like if you're listening to that type of stuff, like, you know, all the time, when it happens, what's going to be your natural inclination?
You're gonna wet that chest.
You know, so, you know, so that was kind of one thing that I kind of got rid of. I stopped listening to explicit music. And another thing that I started doing was not watching the news so much, not taking in secular media as much. And over time, as I did that, I noticed a change. So when it became time to put my son into school, one thing that our pastor said, and this was like a lift for us because you know, my wife and I, we both work, but like we, you know, have our student debt and all these different bills, and he's talking about you need to put your children in the private Christian school because these public schools are teaching all these different types of things and, you know, opening themselves to all these different communities. And, you know, we decided that we didn't want to put our son through that. So we put him in a private Christian school. So his experience has been different. So he's learning about the Bible at a young age. And even before he started school, he's been going to like, you know, like Bible study in a children's ministry at our church. So like he's been kind of raised differently. And, you know, now his questions are different because he's not asking about, you know, the boy in his classroom that's like dressed like a girl, you know, that wouldn't happen at his school. So they're not having some of the questions. They're not having to deal with a lot of like the racial discord. But there was something that happened at his school. There was a situation where it was reported that two white boys, like picked on a black girl at my son's school, and it was a whole like media thing. But then you know, through like some kind of report or whatever, you know, they found out that the girl wasn't telling the truth. Now whether she was telling the truth or not, I don't know, but they did a whole investigation, and the girl said, you know, like some of the things that she said didn't happen. So you know, it's interesting. So things still happen at my son's school, but like we have a better understanding of what's coming in, and we have a little bit more say on, you know, what's going on and what kind of community we want him to be in. So like now it's kind of early to like kind of really have like a lot of questions about the discord of the world.
That's real, man. And we're in the same position. My daughter goes to a private Christian school, and it's been interesting because she was in the Head Start program, and then she went to kindergarten. She went to a public school in kindergarten, and then first grade. So she just switched over last year. And I can say this, that now some of the stuff, you know, some of the stuff that's taught in American Christianity, I really don't believe, you know, because I believe some of the stuff they just don't know, honestly, you know, but that's what they've been taught, you know, and that's what they've learned. And that's what they teach. So a lot of times she's asking me certain questions, and I just kind of break down just in this simple stuff. It's nothing too heavy.
Yeah.
She just, and I'm making her aware of the names of God. The real the Hebrew names of God. And I'm telling her, I understand Jesus is that's what everyone is going to call him Jesus. But I want you to understand what his true name was, understanding that the letter J wasn't in the Hebrew alphabet, that's it's many other ways, but Yeshua, and I'm teaching her that, and telling her that God is just his title, but his name's Yahweh. And just showing her those little small things, putting that just small little nuggets, putting it in there. And now she's starting to ask me certain questions about that. And one day
it's not easy, man, because it's not a easy thing to really understand, because a lot of times what people see is just like the outside, but they don't understand that we are a 3-part being, like our Father, like God is. So like there's the Father, there's the Son, and there's the Holy Ghost, a Holy Spirit. And like kind of breaking that down. If they get that foundation, they're gonna have it all. They're gonna have it all. My pastor, he breaks it down really well. He's like, if you get in a car accident, your car is not you. You're inside that car. So you get out the accident, they take it to a tow truck. You're not going to go with the car. You're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So like that's how you kind of break down, where your spirit goes, where your body goes, and how it's all connected. So like the fact that they're getting that now, it's like there are leaps and bounds. I don't know about your upbringing, but
I didn't grow up in it at all.
They're just so far ahead. They're so far ahead.
That's
so I'm
real.
interested to see what this generation that's being taught really young, what they're going to do.
Wow. That's real, man. And see, what I've been realizing with my oldest daughter, and it's been something that's been so interesting, man. I feel like she's starting to, I feel like she's facing temptation. I'm not temptation, but she's starting to, she's starting to face conviction. She's having convictions. And so sometimes she gets out of school, like one day, excuse me 1 second. Hey guys, go back inside, please. Back inside and close the door, please. But so she started one day she got out of school and she was just like, what did she say? She started just out of nowhere, bro, just went into telling me how, she just feel like she's scared that she just wants to be better, and she feel like, she doesn't listen sometimes to her parents, and she knows that that's sin. And I'm like, I'm just getting off of work. I'm just picking them up from school, and I'm like, what? I'm not even ready for this conversation, man. But she's just like, and Daddy, I'm so sorry, and I know I want to do so much better. And I'm just like, baby, what are you talking about? And I do get on her a lot about certain things, but I always let her know that, I still love you. I love you.
That's right.
And she was just like, I just want you to love me. And I'm like, baby, I'm gonna always love you, regardless if you listen to me or not. If you break rules or not, I still love you. You're still my daughter. And, that's always gonna be, and I went to telling her, about her relationship with God, because she was like, she feel like she let God down when and I'm like, what in your mind has you thinking about this right now?
We don't give them credit enough, man, because like when we talk to them about stuff, we think it goes in one ear and out of the other because we have to tell them so much sometimes. But they think about it. They internalize it.
That's real.
And that spirit that's in them is understands so much more than that outside shell of being a child.
That's real, man, bro. And when I tell you that, it's giving me even more conviction now. Just seeing the purity of my 7-year-old daughter, and how she's repentant in her actions. And I'm like, man, bro, like God has been dealing with me so much, man, in these last few months. And I believe that he uses my daughter at times, to like the scriptures say, you must have that childlike faith. you know, and just he's teaching me so much through watching her relationship with him grow.
Right.
And man, it's something that I've never imagined, bro.
Yeah, man. And it's he'll use people to send you a message. And
That's
like
real.
he has everything we need all around us. I remember one time I was not feeling good. I was like under the weather. And my daughter was like maybe not even 2. She was like maybe 2, just a little over 2. Like my wife, you know, we had just gotten into like our church, so she was like, "You need to get up and stop living this defeated lifestyle." And I was feeling bad. So I wasn't trying to hear it at that time. So my wife and my son, they're getting ready to go to church, and they're getting ready to go to Bible study, and then I'm still like not feeling good. So my daughter, she comes over and she just sits on top of me and was like trying to comfort me.
Yeah.
So like she's 2, like they understand so much more than we give them credit for. But I feel like God was reaching out to me and it was like, "Yo, Andre, I get it. You know, it's going to be all right. You know,
Yeah.
be my children."
That's real, man. That's real. I want to switch gears here, man. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Lecrae's book, I Am
Yeah.
Restored.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what are your thoughts on the book? Have you finished it yet?
I have not finished it yet. I feel so bad. We might have to do a like meet up again and just talk about this book.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen so far in the book, is like he was hiding in plain sight. You know, all his life hiding in
Yeah.
plain sight. And one thing that I did want to bring up today, um, you know, peace and happiness are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
My pastor was saying today, happiness, um, happiness depends on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because of what happened in his life, he wasn't able to get any peace. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that abuse that he received early in his life,
Yeah.
the rejection from the neighborhood of
Mm-hmm.
him not being the stereotypical black person.
Yeah.
You know, like him being more interested in the arts and not so like rough and tough and living the gangster lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't able to have any peace, but he found success, and even in that success, he wasn't having any peace. So he's still affected by what happened.
That's real.
And what happens over time is like in our community, people are looking for happiness. So
Mm-hmm.
happiness is fleeting, and they're chasing after something that's temporary. But in peace is not temporary.
Yeah.
Peace, peace is outside of what's going on. It's internal.
Yes, sir.
So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that peace, the definition in the Greek, um, it is to live at its best.
Yeah.
And this is the reason this is part of the reason I created my website,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought that through our discussion, that men would be able to get this experience and really live at their best. And it wasn't till he was able to address the the demons and the bad situations in his life and not try to hide it. He
Mm-hmm.
really was able to like to start the healing process. Even though he's not he admits through like at least the first part of the book that he's not. It's still an ongoing process that
Yeah.
he's dealing with all the time.
Yeah. Man, bro, it's so deep, man. Once you get through it, so for me, I like audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because when I'm at work for those 10 hours, I work in
Yeah.
a warehouse. So for me, I'm able to just kind of put something on sometimes,
Yeah.
and it just keeps my mind going. But
That's good.
man, just getting through that whole entire book, man, it was just so eye-opening, man, to see the things
Yeah.
that he's been through. And him talking about the depression that he went through and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, man. It's definitely real, man. It's something that's going, I believe, once you get through it, man, it's going to definitely bless you, man. I don't want to give you any spoilers.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And like, I think that that mental health also contributes to like we were talking about in the beginning, to homelessness as well. And I don't think we do enough as a community to really address those things. Because like getting that kind of help is expensive.
Man.
And we have to kind of figure out ways that people have access to help, that they know how to ask for help, and they're not so prideful that they won't seek the help that they need.
That's real. That's real, man. And we just went through homelessness like 3 years ago, man. So yeah, it's definitely yeah, me and my fam, man. So it was yeah, that's a whole other story right there, man. But it's definitely hard, you know, going through something like that. And as a man, you know, the thoughts of failure, it's just hard, you know. But I thank God, you know, I wasn't too prideful to ask for help. And, you know, we did receive a lot of help from family, man. I thank God for my family, man. They really came through. You know, altogether, it was about a 5-month process, and about 5 to 6 months, man. And it was definitely, it was hard. It was probably it was roughest time of my life, I would say. But, you know, now I'm able to appreciate it. That was 2000. That was really like 2017, so 3 years ago, man. So looking to where we are now, you know, finally we just bought our first home.
Right.
Man, it feels awesome, bro. Like
what? Okay, I know we could probably stay on this all day, but I have to ask you a question now. We're gonna switch roles for a second.
Yeah.
So, what drove you during that time period to keep going? Because a lot of people would have quit and been like, I'm just gonna be used to the handouts. I'm not gonna take that step to like even get back to being able to. Not a lot of people that are homeless have a success story of where they like own a home. Now I know like the period of time may have been like in the short term scope of things of life in general. It was a short period of time because there's some people that are born in to homelessness. So what really drove you to kind of
I would say, you know, just knowing that I had a family looking at me, you know, and I thank God for my wife, because my wife, the one thing I remember, and I was just talking with a guy at my job about this week. I was telling him how the one thing I remember my wife telling me, and she was like, whatever you do, I'm going to follow. Whatever decision we make is going to be your choice. And I'm behind you 100%. And just hearing that, man, you know, it was just like knowing that, hey, man, you know, my wife she still trusts me, you know, and see, and we got into the position because we were, because of bad decisions.
Right.
I was the only person working at the time. You know, we had 2 little babies. My son was maybe 1. My son was 1, and my youngest daughter was about 8 months at the time. So we had these 2 little babies, and it wasn't even worth it for my wife to work at the time because childcare is expensive. So it's very expensive, bro. And I think my oldest daughter, she was in the Head Start program, which was I'm so thankful for that at the time. Yeah. But you know, it was hard, and we just made the decision to not renew the lease where we were living because we were trying to move too fast.
Right.
We were like, man, we can get a house. We're just gonna go out and we're gonna try to get this, and things didn't happen the way we thought, and we were like, oh shoot,
right,
our lease is up like in 2 weeks. Man, we don't have anywhere to go. So we moved with my sister and her husband. Thank God for them, man. They opened the doors up to us. So we lived with them for about 2 months.
Yeah.
That hurricane hit that year. When the hurricane hit, you know, a lot of stuff was just going on. So after that, we moved into a hotel for like a week.
Wow.
Then after that, we just made the decision for my wife and my 2 youngest kids to go up to Chicago, where some of her family is. And so we were just like, man, whenever we get things together, you know.
Right.
And man, when I tell you, that was like.
So when she goes to Chicago, Then it's just you by yourself.
It was me and my oldest daughter.
Okay.
So
Whoa.
we went back to my mom's house.
Okay.
And, my mom was like, hey, work, try to get yourself back on your feet. And so we didn't really know when they were coming back. It was like whenever. So it turned into 4 months, them being gone for a whole 4 months, man. And so I was working my regular job at the warehouse. I was driving Uber, driving Lyft. Man, I was just trying to get money, however, whenever, man. And finally got a place in that December. And like I say, during that time, man, I was just connected to some brothers, man, who were really strengthening me. And I was studying Hebrews chapter 11. Now, this is what kept me. I studied the entire chapter of Hebrews chapter 11. That's what they, is the hall of faith, or hall, so by faith, Seth did this. By faith, Abel did this. By faith, Abraham did this. So I studied all of these people's lives.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, in the midst of me studying these people, I realized that all of them had problems.
Yep.
All of these people were, Abraham didn't know where he was. Abraham was basically homeless with a wife also. It said that they went from place to place pitching tents. So Abraham was basically homeless with a wife too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I started looking at all these people's lives, and I'm like, even with all of the issues that these people had, none of them lived perfect lives. Jacob was probably one of the most messed up people, Jacob and David. And I'm like, but they were still mentioned in Hebrews 11 as these great people of faith, but their lives were so messed up.
Right.
But the reason why they were named in that, because they just believed what God told them. And I'm like, man, I just got to believe that what God told me, and that's faith. Faith is believing what God says.
That's right.
That's it.
And acting on it. And acting on it.
And that's it, and you act on it. And so what I seen was Jacob act on his faith. Moses acted on that faith. Isaac acted on that faith. Sarah, even Rahab acted on that faith. Right. And I'm like, man, so all I have to do is continue to do what I need to do, and just ask God to, to just keep me, man. And I can't front, I faced some depression, big time, man, big time, just crying a lot, man. I'm at work, bro, and I'm just crying, have to go sit in my GM office and talk with him. And he was, he was a man of faith, and he would just talk me through it. Some days I'm like, bro, I don't know if I can do it, Right. I miss my wife.
It's really good that you were able to go to him, man, because that would have been something that, like another person would have been like, allowing that depression to well up in them, and not letting it out to other people. Because like sometimes when you don't let things out to other people, people explode, and that could be, they explode into violence, or they can explode into hurting themselves. Yeah. So the fact that you were able to humble yourself and go to someone and be like, hey, I got to let this off my chest. That's why it's important right now that people of faith are influencers and not followers. And that's why I'm so glad to like connect with you, because I think what was happening while I was coming up with this idea is that I was in this phone Bible study with a colleague of mine that I used to work with, and we reconnected, and they read like Proverbs every day at like 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and they do like a book reading a little earlier than that, sometimes in the evening, sometimes in the morning. But they have one scripture they do in the New Testament as well. But it was like, after talking to these guys and really chopping it up like consistently for like a week and a half, because during the pandemic I wasn't working, I was working more at home, and my wife was at home, so like I didn't have to get up and rush out the door, so I could get this Bible study in the morning, and we'd start chopping these things up, and I was able to like see that it's time to be an influencer and not a follower, because a lot of these people that say they're believers, they look too much like the world, and people are getting caught up. they're getting left behind, and it's time for people like you and more people like you to like kind of get in the front and say, hey, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. Like I went from this
Yeah,
and became this, and like there's so much that you can do with your life, even where you are.
that's real,
Like,
man.
cause you could just be like, hey, I work in a warehouse. There's nothing extra that I need to do. I don't need to go out and talk to men. But you have your whole show, man. It's awesome. You have your
That's
own
real.
house. You're doing great, man. You're doing
That's
great.
real.
God bless
Appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate that, man. I want you to talk about your website, Finding Super
you. Yeah.
Dad, and what is that?
Okay. So it's based on Malachi 4:6, and I just want to recite the scripture because it's the foundation. So it's like he will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers. And
Yeah,
I think there's a discussion that needs to be had amongst men that we can work together. Sorry, we can work together to solve problems. We don't have to like go through blindly because there's someone that's been through what you've been through that can help you. So
real.
what do I have on my website? I have information. I want men talking to each other about what's going on, and sometimes that could be sports, that could be about parenting, and I'm opening it up to like finances as well, because like you were saying, like while you were like going through your period of homelessness, like you're driving Uber, you're working a job, you're doing other things to make money on the side. And I think that a lot of men don't know there's like other things that they can do to
Yeah,
draw income, and
that's
some
real.
of it can be very passive. Like you're really good at like coming on like the camera, answering questions. Like people pay people to answer questions and do surveys
Yeah,
to and they pay like 30, 40, sometimes $100 to get your ideas about a product. But like if you don't know, then you're not open to those types of things. So like
that's
talking
real.
about finances and giving out information that will be helpful, because like some things with my son, if I would have known like ahead of time, like
Yeah,
how to put them to bed,
yeah.
like we
Okay.
go by what your parents say, but there's a lot of things that can also help as well, because what works for you might not work for them. So
Exactly.
I've done some research about different things, and the website is not about me. It's about men connecting together, and even if someone poses a question to me, I'm coming from it from like my faith. I'm coming from it from like other men. If it's something that I don't have an answer for, I'm not gonna pretend like, hey, I have all the answers. No, um, I I met I was online. Um, I had my third kid on the way, and it got to the point where I was like, I have to make some more money. I have to find a way to make more income.
Yeah,
And I started looking at YouTube and seeing how other people were making money online, and I was like, like why can't it? Why could it not be me? Because one of the guys who's really successful, Chris Miles, he's been doing it, and he was able to leave his job and do it full time. Now, a lot of this, like, you have to be skeptical, because a lot of them will like come up with the flashy cars or flashing money at you and everything. But
yeah,
he didn't come out like that. He was just like, I'm just a regular guy. He's not really, like a smooth guy either. Like he's just like someone that's dispensing information, and like he also was driven by the coming of his child, and wanting his wife to be at home. So I was like, these are all things that I want. I'm going to like research this guy, and maybe take a course with him and see what I can learn. And it led me to properly building this website. Like I had the idea, I just didn't know where to start.
yeah, yeah, man. And that's findingsuperdad.com.
Yes,
So for all of y'all out there listening, if there's any fathers out there listening, man, go to findingsuperdad.com. And it is a very resourceful website, man. All of what he just talked about is there, man. So if you just looking for some resources, some things Because I remember I looked on there and I seen one of the surveys
Yeah.
that you were talking about,
Mhm.
and I started one of the surveys and I never finished it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, man, there's definitely a lot of resources on there for dads, man, and you know, so if you guys are surfing the web like we all do all the time,
Yeah.
find some time to go to findingsuperdad.com and
Right. And the
support my
thing
brother.
about those surveys is that you have to do like a lot of different ones because
Yeah,
they'll kind of come in waves. You'll get one, you know, one week and then another like two another week. But if you're consistently like filling them out when you can, you'll get more opportunities. Like
yeah,
with some of them, you'll just have to answer like 4 or 5 questions on camera. They'll pay you to do that, and it only takes like 10 or 15 minutes to do. So there's a lot of different ones, and
yeah.
I just hope that that information can be helpful to some people.
Definitely, man. For sure, for sure, for sure. Man, I want to ask you a couple of more things.
Awesome.
You see, this week they say that the NBA season is supposed to be starting next month.
Okay.
Who's your early pick, man, for next year?
Okay. My early pick was my pick last year. It's the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers. Because they're
Yeah.
gonna make some moves. Like I know people are gonna be like, hey, you know, you got Golden State, you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie. All right, Kevin Durant, he is a team player, but he's out of reality.
Yeah.
This guy said the other day that his teammate was better than AI. He's
Yeah.
tripping. Okay, I don't know how good he's going to be when he comes back after that injury. I wish him all the best. But you
Yeah.
got LeBron, you got AD. If Rondo stays on, that's a championship team.
Yeah.
They're just gonna straight up repeat because like basketball wise, they are too smart. They've seen too much. Rondo and LeBron, they can break down the game in ways that you know other players can't. And
Yeah.
if they put around enough of a supporting cast, those two players alone with Anthony Davis is going to be a championship team. If Rondo's not there, they're going to pick somebody up to fill in the gap. Like
Yeah.
this was a team that in the bubble were able to create a strong chemistry that, you know, the teams that had the most chemistry were the ones that went the furthest.
Yeah.
And if we're in a bubble situation again, then hands down it's the Lakers. If it's not
Yeah.
a bubble situation, I still think the Lakers have a chance because I think that Davis comes in more confident with a championship under his belt.
Yeah. Hey, you got a good case, man. You definitely got a good case because when I mean, I think it's so early. You know, I'm still trying to wait and see what happens with this NBA draft.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird because everything has to go so fast this time. So,
yeah,
you know, free agency, the
hmm,
draft, and all of that, and with trades, I'm more than sure trades are about to get crazy.
yeah,
But I'm just excited to see. Period. You know what the teams are gonna look like because I'm ready to see what Miami's gonna do. I'm gonna see
yes.
what
Oh,
Golden
if
State.
yeah, Miami gets Giannis, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Like
crazy,
they're
bro.
going to the final. They'll be the Eastern contenders. I don't care who's in the
Yeah.
East.
The only
Like
thing I don't want them to do is give away those shooters, but they're gonna have
no,
to.
yeah,
I don't want them to give them away, man.
exactly. If they give away the shooters, like I don't think Jimmy Butler and
Yeah,
Giannis can do it. Like they
yeah,
need those shooters, but like
yeah,
they're gonna want something in return.
yeah. And they going after Robinson or Hero or both of
Yeah,
them. They're gonna
hmm,
have to. I mean,
yeah,
and that's the only thing I say about the Heat. Like I just if they can make a move without moving those two, like if it's me, I can't do it, man,
right.
because
I think what you
it's a little
guys
too
might
much.
have to do is try to find someone in the buyout market. Like I
Yeah,
think that if they drop PG
yeah,
and if they are willing to maybe do like a buyout with him or like a lower trade because of the way he performs
hmm,
because they're trying to get different pieces. I think if you let a few of your shooters go for PG and like he's able to get under like Jimmy Butler's wing, they could be dangerous. They need
yeah,
someone that's not going to cost them like the chemistry of their
hmm.
team. I don't know who it is, but like you guys like gave the Lakers like a run for their money with like a broke down squad.
Yeah.
And like Eric Spoelstra, he's a basketball genius. Like I think that the combination of LeBron, Rondo, and then the mind of Frank Vogel,
Yeah.
like really, did a number. They just Miami did not have enough with along with the injuries to
Yeah.
be able to deal with the
At all.
Lakers.
At all, man.
It was
At
rough.
all.
But
At all.
Jimmy played his heart out,
Oh
man.
my
Like 40
God, bro.
points, like lights out basketball, left it all on the floor. I've
Yeah.
never seen that before.
Yeah. That right there was crazy, man.
Yeah,
Just watching
that
that.
was a special game.
I'm kind of happy the season's coming back this quick because, man, I'm like, man, I don't even know what's going on with college basketball. I'm not sure when that's starting.
Okay, now college basketball is my thing because
Yeah.
like the year before the pandemic, my team was the national champ.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I was looking forward to them defending.
Yeah.
And I'm so hyped up. I hope the season can go through all the way through because like we've acquired some players that were like red shirt last year that are playing now. Our point guard Kihei, he's got more experience under his belt. He had some time to rest. All my guys have had a chance to rest.
Yeah.
So it's basketball time, man, and that defense is still the same.
Yeah, man. Virginia always has that defense.
Yeah.
One thing about Virginia, they gonna keep some defense, man, all the time, bro. Man, and I think maybe 3 years ago, my brother played for Coastal Carolina when you guys played them in the first round of the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
My brother played that year. I wanted y'all to lose so bad that game.
Yeah.
My little brother played the two guard for Coastal Carolina. That was his junior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you remember that that year prior to them winning the championship, they lost in like what was it, like the first round, which was
the first round. Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was that was probably one of the worst like sports losses I ever experienced as a fan.
Yeah.
Because like, I was talking them up because the defense was good then, you know, and they just got outshot. Like
that tournament, man.
Everything.
That tournament just, man, all it takes is one off night, bro. That's it. That's it, man.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to see what my Villanova Wildcats are going to do. Right. Man, I think we would have repeated that year the last time we won. But remember, we lost those 5 first rounders, man.
Yep.
And I knew from that, man.
Hard when you have a squad like that.
Yeah, because remember, Villanova doesn't have people go early.
Yeah.
So we had, I think 3 of them were underclassmen. I'm like, man, because we had the freshman center, then my white boy, I can't think, Dante DiVincenzo. He left. I wanted him to come back. He would have won Player of the Year if he would have came back that next year. Yeah. Oh my God, bro, we needed him. And if Mikal Bridges would have came back because he was a junior, if we would have just had those 3, I think we would have won again that next season. Man, bro.
Hands down.
But yeah, man, I'm so ready for this college basketball. I'm bigger. Like, I love the NBA. Like, I'm a Sixers fan, so we suck. We suck for a long time.
Right now, but you guys have Doc Rivers now, and you guys are getting ready to do a rebuild. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with your center and your 2 guard. Because like people are just saying they can't play together, and it's like one of those things. But I want to see what can happen.
Yeah, man, I love Ben Simmons, man. But I don't know, man. I think I would rather get rid of Joel Embiid and keep Ben and try to build around Ben. Mm-hmm. Because it'll be kind of like a Giannis situation. Put some shooters around Giannis, and you got something. I mean, but I don't know, man. I'm just waiting. Well, I'm waiting
Right,
patiently.
because the skill makes a difference, and being
Yeah,
able to get to the basket is like so valuable. And
yeah,
like the NBA, except for the unicorn of Anthony Davis, is
yeah,
moving away from that old school big man.
yeah,
And Embiid, he can't shoot the three. He can't really stretch the floor.
yeah,
So if him and Embiid and Simmons are on the floor together, like they can go off and double team.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
man. I hope hopefully Philly does something, man, because I'd
yeah.
be like, man, I don't even want to see them no more, man. I'm sick of all my teams right now. And then I'm a Florida State Seminole fan.
Okay.
And we suck so bad in football. I'm like, man, I'm just waiting
Y'all
for
will get back. There's always that rebuild
yeah.
for the Florida team.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
don't uh,
I remember there was like a year um, when I was like an underclassman, and we just happened to beat you guys, Florida State at home, and it was like the greatest day of like our
yeah.
football history.
Yeah, oh, man.
But
Man,
like you guys are in the '90s, early
yeah, oh
2000s,
yeah.
you guys have been great. Like
Yeah, man.
every school has a rebuild.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
If you, at least you guys have a history. Virginia doesn't even have like a history.
yeah, man. But yeah, man, I got one more question, man. If knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old Andre?
Okay.
One piece of advice.
Ooh, 18-year-old Andre. I would have told 18-year-old Andre to walk a closer path with the Lord.
Yeah,
I would have told 18-year-old Andre to focus more on his studies and get a better GPA in college.
yeah,
But like when we get into like what things like would you do differently?
yeah,
I'm like totally like against those conversations because like
yeah.
it's those things that I went through that made me who I
It
am
made
now.
you. That's real.
And it is special. Like your walk of life makes you special. It makes you appreciate God so much more. And
That's
I
real.
don't know who would I have been if I had, like extra information from the beginning. But like,
Yeah,
if you're listening to like Holy Spirit from the beginning, you could get so much further. So
yeah,
like, if I would have known like the spiritual, aspect of being in like a flush relationship with a woman, I probably would have kind of changed some of the made some like better decisions
yeah,
based on that. But those are really the only things like and maybe left some of those little credit cards alone that
yeah,
they're like feeding like college kids and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, better
That's real,
financial
man.
decisions would have been the thing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. For sure,
Yeah,
man. But
yeah.
man, hey, man, it was good talking with you, man. I
Very
think
good talking
I
with you
learned a
too.
lot. I learned a lot in this, man. I learned a lot, bro. For
Dude,
real.
and I'm probably gonna have a lot of questions for you offline, man, because you've been doing this for a minute. And like,
Yeah.
dude, I looked at some of your videos. Like they're great. Like keep up the good work. Like I said, I'm building this thing right now,
Yeah.
and I want to grow it. So I'll definitely have some questions for you later. But thank you so much for having me on the show. It has been like a blessing being able to conversate with you and to like kind of be out there and be really an influencer instead of just following, like the people that are trending in the
That's
world.
real.
It's good to see another brother that's trying to make an impact.
That's real, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. And yeah, man, you continue to push forward, man, with everything you're doing. And if you ever need anything, man, questions, anything, man, please contact me, man. I'm always, you ask my wife know I'm always running my mouth, man.
Yep,
So I'm down, to give you any kind of pointers, anything, man. Just hit me up,
appreciate it.
bro.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Appreciate you, bro.
All
It's
right,
Dad.
man.
Can we talk? We out.
All right.